Doesn't get more violent than that. Beth and Jamie's war in Yellowstone Season 5 Part B gets ominous tease from Kelly Reilly. While the siblings have long squabbled throughout the show's run, the stakes between Beth and Jamie will be at their highest yet in Yellowstone Season 5 Part B, per a tease from Kelly Reilly. The duo have been on opposing sides since they were teenagers, when Jamie, in an attempt to help Beth get a secret abortion, also got her a hysterectomy, preventing her from having other children. Yellowstone Seasons 4 and 5 Part A have taken things a step further, with Jamie's biological father being behind the Season 3 attempt to kill the rest of the family, and Beth blackmailing him into killing his father. During a recent interview with Screen Rant ahead of the show's return, Kelly Reilly was asked about what's to come from the war between Jamie and Beth in Yellowstone Season 5 Part B. Though careful with her words, she did acknowledge that it doesn't get more violent than her brother having hired hitmen to kill her and her father, John Dutton IEA, and will lead to some emotional consequences for them, both as they head into a final battle. Check out what Reilly shared below. While both Jamie and Beth have often shown a willingness to bend the law in order to serve either their own needs or those of their father, Wes Bentley's character has gradually been pushing his morality to the dark side in recent Yellowstone seasons. Towards the start of the show, he was generally afraid of Kevin Costner's Dutton family patriarch, whereas with Beth, he was willing to throw verbal barbs, but not go much further than that. More recently, though, he's become far bolder in his actions, including the aforementioned hitman hiring in the Yellowstone Season 5 Part ending. Though Reilly doesn't indicate which direction the feud will ultimately go, the confirmation of a final battle between Jamie and Beth promises a continuation of this morality challenge for the former. Luke Grimes similarly revealed to Screen Rant that there would be an earth-shattering event in the premiere of Yellowstone Season 5 Part B, further fueling the theories of Kevin Costner's exit from the show being explained with his character's death. Should that death stem from Jamie's hitman, it would ultimately give him no turning back point going into a final confrontation between the two siblings. Considering she was careful with her words, it seems hard to determine just who might come out on top in Jamie and Beth's war going into Yellowstone Season 5 Part B. Both characters have a lot to fight for right now, particularly Jamie as he makes his bid to get his father impeached and protect his son from his sister. Even still, considering how often Bentley's character has attempted to walk back his actions in the past, there is still a chance he will try and talk his way down from Beth's wrath by the finale. The dust in Montana hasn't settled, not even close. In fact, it's rising again, kicked up by the thunderous return of one of television's most volatile sibling rivalries, Beth Dutton versus Jamie Dutton. And if Kelly Reilly's ominous tease is any indication, the final episodes of Yellowstone Season 5 Part B are not just a showdown. They're an all-out war. It doesn't get more violent than that, Reilly said recently in a chilling interview. What's coming is inevitable, brutal, and it will change everything. The Dutton family has always been a powder keg of secrets, betrayal, and land-soaked legacies. But the feud between Beth, Reilly, and Jamie, Wiz Bentley, has evolved into something darker, something Shakespearean. Betrayal has turned to vengeance, and vengeance has turned into open warfare. These aren't just emotional daggers. They are real ones. And someone may not make it out alive. Beth has always been fire, ruthless, emotionally scorched, unapologetically loyal to her father, John Dutton. Jamie, on the other hand, has been ice, strategic, wounded, and desperate to carve out his own identity, free from the leash of his family's judgment. For years, their tension simmered. But in Part A of Season 5, the slow boil turned to a roaring inferno. Beth discovered Jamie's plan to impeach their father, Governor John Dutton. In retaliation, she dug deep into his past, threatening to expose the corpse of Garrett Randall, Jamie's biological father, whom Jamie murdered under Beth's manipulation. The war lines weren't just drawn, they were scorched into the soil of the Yellowstone ranch. And now, with Reilly's recent tease, it's clear this isn't just a family feud, it's a reckoning. A civil war in cowboy boots. Reilly didn't mince words when asked about the nature of the Beth and Jamie conflict in the upcoming episodes. It's not just about who wins anymore, she said. It's about who survives. Sources close to the show have hinted at scenes that are bloodier than any fight the ranch has ever seen. And Reilly's own body language during the interview spoke volumes. She was cagey, intense, visibly shaken when discussing Beth's arc. Beth is pushed to a place she's never been before, she admitted. And she drags Jamie down with her. Jamie, for his part, isn't playing defense anymore. In Part A, we saw him align with Sarah Atwood, the ruthless market equities consultant who's more than willing to turn Jamie into a weapon. Together, they're planning something. Something Beth doesn't see coming. Or maybe she does. Maybe she always has. And that's the dangerous part. These two know each other's moves. They know how to hurt one another on a cellular level. They know where the scars are. They know where the weaknesses lie. The land isn't the only thing at stake. As the ranch faces threats from every direction, political, corporate, and internal, the personal vendetta between Beth and Jamie threatens to eclipse it all. This isn't about property lines or pipelines anymore. This is personal. This is decades of bitterness manifesting in bullets, backroom deals, and whispered threats. Reilly hinted that one major scene between Beth and Jamie will shock the audience in a way that feels both inevitable and devastating. Could this mean one of them dies? Yellowstone has never shied away from killing off major characters, and both Beth and Jamie have been circling each other like predators for 5 seasons. The idea that both of them will make it out of this war seems unlikely. There's no peace for those two, Reilly said flatly. There never was. Not since they were kids. It was just a matter of time. The final chessboard. With Taylor Sheridan back behind the typewriter, expectations for Part B of Season 5 are soaring. And Reilly's comments only add fuel to the fire. Her words drip with finality. Her expressions betray a storm beneath the surface. Fans have speculated for months. Will Beth finally go too far? Will Jamie get redemption or revenge? Reilly gave one last tease before the interview ended. There's a moment, right near the end, where Beth looks Jamie in the eye and says something that will haunt viewers. Not because of what she says, but because of what she does afterward. Cue the speculation engines. A family torn beyond repair. The Duttons have always been a family built on damage, of the emotional and physical kind. But Beth and Jamie's war may be the final blow. If blood must be spilled to settle this rivalry, it won't just be metaphorical. And with Reilly confirming that it doesn't get more violent than that, fans should prepare themselves, not for a Western, but for a tragedy. The final episodes of Yellowstone Season 5 promise not just a climax, but a cataclysm. And at the center of it all, 2 siblings who could never coexist, fighting to the bitter, bloody end. Beth once told Jamie, "You have no spine, and I have no heart." In Part B, it looks like both of them are about to prove just how true that really is.